maybe Sweden have good practice, maybe Ukraine or other countries, because I really like the approach of Sweden, just to treat their citizens as adults. They know what to do, and to have minimal. I understood from other countries that it is like they are thinking together for the economy and healthcare. And generally, it is okay. First of all, health is the most important, but if we do not work, we can't pay taxes. If we can't pay taxes to the government, how government can give social or healthcare assistance to the citizens? So I don't think that we have to think about economy and about businesses later when we defeat this disease, but how we can, so what can we suggest as a business community, as a representatives of businesses? So what are your ideas mainly? What do you think?
Yeah, great. I think you're quite right that every country has really chosen different paths, and also the preconditions are really different, right? Sweden has a much less rosy official picture when it comes to the infection than any of your countries. We have more than 300 deaths, and as for the number of infected, I think that it's very difficult to say because the testing frequency is so different in different countries. For example, in Sweden now, the testing stopped after the tracing period of imported cases stopped. So you basically only have testing of medical personnel and those that are in intensive care, for example, which gives a very skewed number in terms of actual cases. I think that's something we should bear in mind when we try to compare these things in general. I mean, total cases in Sweden is officially something like 5,000–6,000 that are registered and confirmed. But I heard somebody say that a likely number at the moment is somewhere around 500,000, meaning that it's quite a large percentage of the people, especially in Stockholm, that already have or have had the virus. And I think this is basically the situation in most of Europe and many European countries, and also unfortunately it's heading that way in the US, which is maybe the most worrying place at the moment in terms of the spread of the virus. But you're quite right, you know, the measures, I mean, actually I think maybe it would be great if our friends from Ukraine and Armenia and Azerbaijan could share the measures that their governments have taken, because in Sweden, I can say a few words. I think one thing that Sweden had is, well, first of all, they early on, like you said, they tend to see this as part of the same package. So you have the health authority going out and saying, you know, these are the measures that are that everyone has to obey by, and these are few, as we know. I mean, Sweden has had some publicity because we have so few official restrictions, and then there is a lot of advice, which means that people should anyway stick to much stronger restrictions in terms of social distancing and things like this. Whether this works, I cannot say yet. We will see at the end. But the supposed effect of that should be that there is a bit more soft landing for the economy, that all small businesses, for example, don't have to close at the same time as they have been forced to do, for example, in Germany, where everything but you know, pharmacies and restaurants are basically closed. This is not the case here. The stores are still open. Of course, there's still a big emergency in many of the branches of the economy have basically stopped. You know, hotels, travel agencies, cultural events, things like this. And for those, you need other measures. So are, fortunately, if you have a high tax pressure, there's a lot you can do, starting with a tax alleviation. So, for example, the government is going to pay for the sick leave money for April and May for everyone. So that is taken off the burden of the companies, for example, and that's going to be quite a big thing. Also, you can defer tax payments, or actually have tax payments that you made for last year redeposited onto your accounts to increase liquidity, for example. But there's also, all these things like employment insurances that you can, in a country like ours, that you can actually mixture a little bit with, and then in that way kind of alleviate the problems of the companies. There's also things like not only the rates on loans, but also deferring loan payments, for example, over an extended period of time. And of course, also the new liquidity that is put into the system is also coming with these measures of a long payback time with basically zero interest. But in general, I think that the small companies, and I mean the whole economy, basically, even the large companies who have now basically, Volvo and Scania, for example, have basically stopped production in Sweden. And what happens with them, who have tens of thousands of employees and thousands of subcontractors, is that they have to basically, they discharge their people but keep their employment, so that everyone is basically either working from home with 100% salary, and that's a small percentage, or you have people not working, but who will be taken back into production, and those also receive actually a large percentage, something like 90% of their salary at the moment, and that's shared between the companies and the government. But of course, there's going to be a lot of problems, and there's going to be more money and more measures needed in order to support certain branches of the economy, especially among SME. The things that, these ridiculous amounts of loan guarantees from the central bank, for example, with billions of euros, nobody's going to use them, because nobody wants to take a loan unless it's absolutely necessary in this situation, and the banks are also not going to approve them. So there's something else needed. It's the same thing that in the US with the Federal Reserve, that you have a sort of swap facilities with large amounts of money and things like this that are going to be available. But yeah, I also sent a link to this EU measures for the Eastern Partnership. I'm trying to find out what that actually means, what kind of support can be put in from the EU side and on bilateral programs in order to increase liquidity to do these kinds of measures also in your countries where the government may not sit on that kind of money. And also in Sweden, of course, what's happening now is that all this extra money is not actually taken out of the state budget. So you're not really abandoning a lot of things that would have been implemented, but the state debt is increasing at the moment. And of course, that's not really an option for every country either. So what's the situation in your countries? I don't know, Nastya, if you have to leave, or if you can maybe say something about the situation in Ukraine.
Yes, sure. I don't have to leave. I'm just quite cold in my office. Right now. Thank you for organizing actually and initiating this event, Mariam. Thank you a lot for this actually idea. We can see you even in the boss windows right now. So the situation in Ukraine actually are quite the same actually as Harry, you told about that and Natalia actually you also mentioned that we don't really understand the real situation because we don't have enough medicine and enough these tests to understand how many people are really infected by the virus. Official statistics, I don't know about the today's, but it was less than 100 people died to my mind right now. So, but the measures taken in Ukraine are quite strong, and almost everything are closed, so all the shops, like restaurants, like this one. So you can only buy products like food and some cosmetics, pharmacy, and that's it. So the streets are almost empty. I'm just, you know, like the apocalypse views, because I'm walking quite free. I'm not maybe acting like in a panic because I'm using my office because I have quite a poor internet connection at home. And when everybody, you know, in the same time are connected to the internet, we really have some problems in like local buildings. So the measures are taken, yes, quite strictly, but we have some compensatory methods from the government to the small and micro businesses. For example, they don't have to pay a single social contribution. It is collected only for the micro businesses, like individual entrepreneurs, Ukrainian. So for March and April, they are not have to pay this single social contribution. But to be honest, it's quite a small amount of money. It's like, what are you paying as an individual entrepreneur for yourself? But for example, if you have an employees in your individual entrepreneur, you have to pay this social contribution for them. So it's like a little bit of question here. But for the smallest and micros, which doesn't have which don't have these employees, it's quite a good innovation. Also, we have a moratorium on non-tax проверка. One moment, I'll tell you. Audits. Yeah, so we have a moratorium on the non-tax audits for this period and even a few months more. Quarantine right now, they promised us that it will end on April 27th, or April 24th. Yes, April 24th. We are going to, this maybe like right now, this is the end date of quarantine, and despite that, business associations are quite strongly working on some more advices for the government. In particular, in a few hours, we will have the online conference with Danil Gitmantsov. He is a member of the parliament and the chief of the committee in Verkhovna Rada of this committee on tax and customs, and trying to discuss what else could be done. And he will also cover which legislative innovations they are providing. And as I know, at least two big letters from business associations were already submitted to Verkhovna Rada and to the Cabinet of Ministers. Verkhovna Rada is Ukrainian parliament. So the first one were connected about this, all these legislative recommendations. Some of them are already adopted and some of them are in the process of working. I can share with some details probably with you, but it's quite a long description, and we have right now only in Ukrainian language because everything is moving so fast so that you don't have any time to translate and to even to think more about the models that you can adopt more. So even in the, you understand, yes, in the authorities, it's quite a big pressure of the time lying on them, and we understand it quite well. And the second letter submitted by business associations to Verkhovna Rada is connected about this state of emergency, so that the business community are asking authorities not to do actually state of emergency in Ukraine, because it will be maybe the end of the Ukrainian economy in 1 month if it really happened, because really entrepreneurs are shocked and they are depressed a little bit, and it will be very extremely hard to recover somehow after this period, especially if it will lasts more than 1 month, and we understand that it is quite possible. So right now we're pushing these ideas not to provide a state of emergency, and even to consider the other regimes yes, of the quarantine that could be provided in the country, because just to open to help open some enterprises that could work in these conditions. For example, if you're using this individual protection, if you're using maybe some gloves, I don't know, and etc., just keeping the distance between people, to provide these norms, of course, yes, it is needed right now, but not to close everything, because the Ukrainian economy will not survive in these conditions.
What is the justification for introducing state of emergency?
I don't know really. I can't tell you right now. Yeah, so maybe, yes, maybe that's it, but from our side, we are trying to work as intense as we can in these conditions to, first of all, to my mind, not to stop the panic among this business community, because we understand that we have to share some calming news about this, maybe to provide some webinars on crisis communications. We already did on some financial instruments that could be used in this crisis actual situation, and actually trying to somehow push these business ideas to the authorities.
Great.
I will be really glad for you to share in some ideas. What are you doing in your country? Maybe we can provide probably something in Ukraine as well.
Good. Very good. I think that we decided urgently yesterday evening to meet today. If we plan a little bit early for the next and give some more days, maybe Christian, Günther, Mariana also will be able to join, and we will have more information for future. Maybe today it should be more short meeting, and we can prepare for the future and share ideas, and how can we continue as a representatives of business associations in this communication for economic improvement, first of all.
I agree with you, Miriam, and moreover, I think that maybe some of us can prepare like a few slides, like 3, 4, not more slides, what is already done and what is pushing by businesses in our country, and make the video of this conference and share. I think it would be useful as well.
Yes, so I'm also not prepared. I can't give all details from my country's measures, and so it's a process we have started to work actively, and it will be, I think, beneficial for all of us to be together somehow and to share these ideas.
Okay, and we can put some information on PPD Network website.
I think so. It will be very good, Natalia. It's a good time.
About 50 people per day visit our site.
Really?
Today?
Yes, because Katerina has these statistics. Can you imagine?
Come on. Can we take the photo if all agree and put on PPD Network? And
I asked Katerina to make some statistics, dynamics, the visiting of our site, and thank you. I will ask.
Maybe it's a good time for us to strengthen PPD Network, and maybe this could be the opportunity for us this period, because working together now is especially important.
Mariam, PPD Network now is a member of Eastern Partnership Civil Society Forum for 2 years, 2020-2021.
Great.
We can present all our ideas through this platform, Civil Society Forum,
Great.
group 2.
Great. Great.
Yes, it's really good. I received the invitation, and congratulations, the PPD Network now are members.
On that, Natalia, I will also continue looking throughout this year how we can best make a private sector representation in Brussels, because obviously we know about the Civil Society Forum that it has good things and it has things that are not that complete. So we can look at that during this year, and it's a great thing, I think, point communication bullet as one of the agenda points on our next meeting, where we can also include other sections on discussions that we will have, because this is it's about urgency measures. It's about how to not make the wrong decisions in order for the economy to restart, for example. And there are countries who will be in different stages. So let's try to put down an agenda item list for the next meeting and
Yes.
take it from there. And in the meantime, perhaps we can send, if we have any information, more information, some of you have already sent, and I will send after this the Swedish measures taken so far, and we can see what areas we should focus on the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would like to ask, is your country adopting some laws regards to this corona? For example, we have for example, just few days ago, our parliament votes to allow using our cell phone data to track the places with whom we are talking, where we are, and so on, in order during just this emergency regime. Another one, they also adopted punishment for not keeping this regime. So we will be punished about 500 euro if you are not keeping all requirements given beforehand to citizens. Do you have some laws or something like that? I don't know. Because
Yes,
it was, yeah. So what about you?
Not about personal information, but about emergency situation. We adopted new decree from the president, which gave authority to the government to adopt additional measures, and the government declared a lot of lot of restrictions on businesses. For example, you not only businesses but persons. You can't walk outside after 9 o'clock. For example, you will be punished. Companies can't operate. Only distance remote work are allowed. Even delivery services, online shopping now is allowed for food. And they are thinking how to cover others as well, which cost a lot of so our discussions that forbidding online shopping now it's quite strange, but our government is so strong. Really, I don't know how we continue if we entirely close all companies and all industries.
I see. Online shopping, not forbidden in Armenia, but they should keep some requirements. So,
yeah, yes. They should keep very strict requirements.
Yeah.
And after it, yesterday, Prime Minister promised that they will allow gradually online shopping if these technique shops and so on and others will show that they are doing everything right.
Yeah, the same situation here. Always checking.
Yes, you can't go without passport, and
Yeah.
so very, very strict situation. We have good achievements in fighting against COVID-19.
Okay, and let me say about the economic situation in Belarus now. We face with the problem of exchange rate. This is a very big problem for our economy because of exchange rate goes up more than 35%. Can you imagine?
Oh, 35%.
It's really big disaster for us because we are model of open small market economy and we have a lot of import parts for our production. But can you imagine our government one of the measures decided to frozen the prices. Can you imagine? And what should do small and medium businesses? They have to frozen prices, but have to pay for import parts. And due to the exchange rate, import parts goes up rapidly.
Natalia, is there any? Sorry.
And all initiatives about the how to support small business, how to protect entrepreneurships faced with the problem that our government is so quiet. We have only active and brave our president, but not active government. It seems to me they do not have idea how to save the small business. They make some steps in the monetary sector. They decline the requirements for banks, commercial banks, for loans, for penalty for loans. Yes, it will help the manage the loans for small business. Yes, but our businesses ask to save the prices for arenda, renting of the offices and etc. But these prices goes up. Can you imagine?
So your entrepreneurs have to pay this rent even if they can't use this real estate.
That's the problem.
The same is in Armenia.
Rent.
No, we are deciding
rents go up.
Because in Ukraine, just few days ago, we adopted a new law that, for example, if you can't use this real estate as an entrepreneur or as even like as a private,
you do not have
you don't have to pay this rent for all this period which you can't use this office building.
Moreover, you told me that the entrepreneurs have to pay for taxes for the employees. Yeah. Now our government decided to make some not vacation, не каникулы, it's отсрочка.
Not holidays.
Not holidays.
Postponed payment.
Postponed. But it's disaster for small business. They will have twice and triple tax нагрузка. Налоговая нагрузка потом будет сумасшедшая. It's a problem. And some sectors of Belarusian economy goes down, like entertainment industries, but some sectors now are very active, and their activity goes up. I mean, it's IT sector, medicine, and some others.
Food.
Depend on. We have government solutions to frozen all prices on food too.
Oh, but here is rapidly rising because we have a problem in Armenia. We have a closed borders. Sometimes, from time to time, our government negotiating with Georgian governments, they are opening for one day or for a few hours. But in any case, our food supply is in a horrible condition, and Armenia is not producing as much Armenian products in order to cover all need of our population. So besides everything, besides of this horrible condition in the economy, also we guess after 20 days we will have a problem with food supply here. And one more problem that despite of everything, all employers should pay salary without postponing every month. It also is horrible for employers, for SMEs especially. While they are not working, they should in any case pay all amount. I mean, even not 50%, but 100% of salary. And not depends on the person working from home or not, because some works impossible to organize from home, so online, I mean. In any case, all employers should pay all salaries.
Okay, our government tried to save the current structure of economy, but IT sector now propose uh, to desire some scripts for small business, how to solve the problems, how to um, restructure the um, expenditure, how to cut expenditure to save the businesses. It's very important for all enterprises have some scripts or have some models how to improve the economic situation of this of concrete enterprises, you know, and how to solve this problem step by step using them some programs, some models, etc., etc., etc. I will discuss with the IT specialists today at 5 o'clock how to solve the problem in the logistics sector, because logistics met with a problem with the borders, with the, some requirements to with the customs and with the decreasing of the flows of goods between countries, and it's a problem. And now we discuss how propose the people and entrepreneurs maybe adequate, maybe not the best, but good model how to solve the problem. Not only solve, but maybe to do improve businesses.
Thank you, Natalia. As I see Günther joined, maybe he wants to say something to us. Günther, can you hear us? Günther?
He couldn't hear.
Okay, maybe for
Ahad
the
has
next.
an update.
Sorry?
Maybe Ahad has an update from Baku.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, I have some updates since we already mentioned about how things going in Belarus and Ukraine and Georgia, Armenia. So just they were trying to look on the internet. Just recently, our Minister of Economy had meeting with the president, and so he gave some updates. So government gave or will give about 1 billion manat. It's about $580 million for support of private companies or like people in micro businesses sector or another like. And Minister of Economy on the meeting with the president, so he said that actually we have nine programs in various different areas, so which address the problems of these different nine groups. For example, they are planning to even pay, I think, salaries or somehow help like to pay salaries for 304,000 employees. Also, they plan to give loans for micro business. Also, there is like hospitality industry suffered a lot, and because of a lack of tourists and etc. So I know hotels and cafes and restaurants closed. So they also planning to support this sector as well, and for also some special money, I don't know how support money program for people like students from social vulnerable groups of population. So but again, like it sounds very good, but it didn't start yet. It didn't start yet, and so we still didn't know mechanism. So how they're going to do it. So again, like they presented it, we said that there's 9 programs, but we didn't start it yet, and so I hope that we hope that it will be something really positive for the economy. But again, as everywhere else, again, like this services closed, all shops, hotels, restaurants, the people who are just working as individual entrepreneurs, I mean, barbers, uh, people who are providing services, they are also unfortunately without job right now. And of course, the big concern who we're going to compensate, how we will survive. And yeah, unfortunately, so far there is not like clear direction how the government will do that. But again, as I said, like the money is both accumulate for these practices, and I think we're waiting for real mechanism from the Ministry of Economy. And just recently, the government introduced new um, limitations on movement. So people like in coming to weeks, the people will just like a strict like sitting at home, just will go down, like downstairs like to buy some like products, and they just like literally in during these 2 weeks, it will all a movement like from one part of the city to another will like just ban. So this is like will be really hard, I think. Yeah, so far with some news.
Thank you.
Thank you. Günther, would you like to tell us something?
I think you have to unmute, Günther.
I'm in mute.
No, now we can hear you.
You hear me. Okay, very good. I hope you're all healthy, and I hope that the crisis will soon pass away. There's good news in America. They found already a vaccination in the first step. So I'm confident that in the end of April, there will be a limitation of this global crisis. And so I think it will be lasting for this month. And what I want to, from economic point of view, it's very good to support the SMEs. But what I have already sent you in these slides, it's very important to accelerate the integration with the European market in this moment. Yeah? Not to close, but to adopt more EU legislation, and especially to stabilize the currency system by a fixed currency system with the euro. Otherwise, we will have a big round of devaluation again, like in 2014 and 2008, and that will be very negative for everybody.
I think on that topic, we have a lot to discuss in the EU as well, considering the discussion of the euro bonds and all these, how to support Italy and Spain. But yes,
yeah,
we have a problem at the moment, for example, with a Swedish company making medical equipment, and they have a large storage in France, and the protection gear destined for Spain and Italy are now stuck in France because you cannot exit France with medical equipment. So it is really a situation which let's hope it is, like you say, it's a short-term period, but afterwards there's going to be a lot of analysis needed.
Absolutely. The other thing is also from public health, I want to focus on vaccination. This is very important that the public is vaccinated against everything which is out there. This is one of the best measures. But I think in our countries here in Eastern Partnership, most of the people are well vaccinated. So I don't think that's a major topic, but I sent you that slide as well. What I want to focus is what we need to learn is to be even much more united in the European continent, and avoid in the moment of crisis such kind of nationalistic reflexes like closing borders. Now it happened, that's very unfortunate, but we have to work even much more closer together to integrate in the customs union of the European Union, in a currency system, in a common logistic and transport system, that such a situation never ever occurs again, because a lot of the small companies here in the Eastern Partnership countries will not even survive the next month. Because why? The states here are not rich enough to really subsidize the economy over 1 month. Germany and Austria and other countries and Sweden are very rich countries. They can do that. The Americans, for example, have made a $2.2 trillion package to support the economy. It's enormous amounts of money. But Ukraine or Georgia or Armenia don't have the fiscal space to do anything of that. So basically, it will be very dramatic when this takes longer, and it's no longer justified beyond April. I'm confident to have any kind of this very tight quarantine measures. And I think actually it has to be made very clear to the governments that with all kind of public health measures, this is also a very, very dangerous thing for the people when they have no work and nothing to eat anymore. Because how long will the reserves of the people last in the households? Basically, people have maybe for 30 days money at home and can somehow survive. But what will they do after that? So ultimately, we have to open the economy in May again. That's my thinking.
Thank you, Günther. We want to have such discussions periodically, and we decided suddenly yesterday evening to have today, but for the next we will be more prepared. We will plan earlier and continue to share information from each country and each association, and how we can continue. And this is a good opportunity for us to strengthen PPD network.
And I hope the next one will be more optimistic than this one.
It's very optimistic. In the end of April, there will be normality again in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope so.
Optimism is a duty of every person.
Yeah, because such a people like we who used to work every time, it's just horrible, you know, to be restricted and do not be allowed to work.
I recommend to make a lot of sport, like I do it at the moment. And after the Corona crisis, you lose 2-3 kilograms, you're totally happy.
Just now it's the opposite. For example, I'm just gathering kilos.
Okay.
Anyhow, that was my effort to make some good mood, and I know it's very difficult, guys.
Where are you, Günther? In Austria?
I'm in Ukraine, in the next to Dynamo Stadium. I break the quarantine and make some sports outside.
In Georgia, they forbid us also to use these parks, and we can't go even run.
You know, the other thing is that all the people who always liked very much to be authoritarian, they have now the very good reason to forbid everything to the people. And it's a bit extreme, I think, to forbid the parks, because, you know, as long as you don't meet a lot of people or shake hands, it's totally fine to be outside, because who should you infect?
Yeah, I think so, but they forbid us.
Yes, it's a bit of the kind of showing of the strong man who now saves the people. And this is very exaggerated. The worst example is in Hungary, where Mr. Orban went totally crazy and put out the parliament. And unfortunately, we have such people as well in power in Europe. But what I can recommend is, you know, we have been for much worse crises already economically. The financial crisis 2008, the Ukraine war crisis of 2013 were much worse than this one. It's a very temporary demand shock. We have no kind of demand now from the consumers. That will go away because when the crisis stops by the end of April, because the consumers want to buy, the consumers want to shop, and they have not disappeared. They will all come back and shop again in May, and the tourism season and everything else, with a little bit of precaution, obviously, will go ahead, and it will be a very successful year. And when the conclusion is that we learn there will be greater unity needed, and faster unification of Europe, then maybe that will be a very positive result of this crisis.
Thank you, Günther.
By the way, who has the information from Christian?
Where is Christian, by the way?
Christian
Natalia,
has got a new...
He
Christian
in Uzbekistan now.
Oh.
Yeah, they are more than 25 centigrades, plus 25 centigrades. He has, he is safety involved in the Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan projects. Still good, seems to me.
Yeah, he got a new German project to support the Chamber of Commerce of Uzbekistan.
Good.
And he is there, bringing Central Asia closer to Europe.
Very good. Hope he will join for the next.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe he had a big time difference. I don't know.
No.
Okay, we
Yeah.
can agree on time that will be suitable for all of us. Maybe 2 weeks later will be good. We will have more information. We will have more clear understanding of the situation. And again, maybe Nastya, if not you, you know, we can't organize things like you. And again, we hope you, yeah.
Sorry,
It's actually a very good idea. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Nastya, thank you very much for your supporting with organization this call. And I ask from my side to send me a few notes, maybe small information from each countries about the situation concerning the SMEs, okay?
okay, and Natalia, sorry, I missed just some information because we are in the process of preparation of our next meeting. It will be just in 1 hour, so I have my speakers calling constantly to me. So are we agreed on some date or what?
Maybe about 2 weeks, it will be good.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
I
yeah.
would recommend every
Yeah.
Friday, every second Friday, something like
really?
this. What do you think?
Every second Friday, maybe it will be good to summarize. Somehow this period of afternoon, it looks good, I think, for everyone.
Okay, maybe at 2 o'clock at Friday, every second week we try?
Yeah.
Is it possible at 1 o'clock, please? Just like
1 o'clock, okay.
Yes, because we have in 3 o'clock, we have other meetings on Friday as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it like this.
Now,
Okay.
yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
And
Okay.
I'm waiting for your information, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's-
Colleague. It was so nice to meet all of you.
And,
Yes,
and
it was
Henrik,
really
Well,
nice.
thank you.
again,
Yes.
after the crisis, invite us to Stockholm again, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
We miss
actually, Sweden has not closed the border, so you're welcome if you can leave your countries. Huh?
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Bye,
Nice.
Natalia. Thank you again.
Maybe we can just talk briefly later on about what topics we should include for the next one, and we can prepare and send it out
Nice.
before, like a week
Yes.
before. Perfect.
Yes.
So, Natalia, are you systematizing this agenda, yes, for the next meeting? Can you do it?
Okay, I will try, okay.
Okay.
You
Okay,
can, yeah,
I will do.
let's talk about that. We can do
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Anyway, I need
Yourself.
your ideas too. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a lot of sport.
Yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
going biking.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.